Hi, it's Toby from Heavyweight MMA. Today with MMA fighter Colby Thicknesse, talking about UFC 271 and a couple of the big fights with a few of our Kiwi brothers stepping up. How do you feel about these fights, man?
Man, the whole card in general, just 271 is so stacked. Like from top to bottom, you've got so much like local Anzac talent on display. You got Izzy in that headline, and you got Casey O'Neill fighting. You got Jacob Malkoon, and the fights we're talking about. You got Blood Diamond and Carlos, both from City Kickboxing. So it's gonna be a good card.
Yeah, man, let's jump into that fight. So Carlos Ulberg, Black Jag, I don't even know what that means, but that's his nickname. He's around 32 years old, fighting Fabio Cherant, the Water Buffalo, at 27 years of age, man. Any thoughts on this fight in particular?
I think it is might be a sort of first thing that it's a loser leaves town match, because as you know, Carlos got unlucky in his first fight where
The loser leaves town. That's a bit harsh, bro.
They're both comment. Carlos is off one loss. Fabio, he's off two loss, both first round finishes. He lost to Manfield by the Von Few choke. Then he got left hook by William Knight. William Knight, who was doing well. And then, as you know, Carlos looked good on the contender. He was bashing the guy in the first round. He ended up just gassing out and sort of getting put, not really put away, more like a TKO where just sort of lost the energy, didn't really stick to a game plan and lost his fight that way. But I think we're going to see sort of Carlos at his true potential now. He's had the shakeout. He's got rid of the nerves. He's been in front of big crowds and that. So I think he's going to be all right for this one.
Man, it reminds me, like you can see Izzy in him or him and Izzy or whatever it is when he moves, right? Like that first round, he's got beautiful movement, nice straight punches, beautiful head kicks. You know, that actually one thing I see that I didn't see from Izzy so much is that up kick, like a kind of upward front kick, you know, like it seems to be hinging upwards rather than like a straight front kick. And just his mad speed and everything. He looked great against that Kennedy. I don't know his last name, how to say it. So Kennedy. But as you said, he just slowed down. Like he started off like a bat out of hell, but by the end of the round, he'd almost totally depleted himself, right? So you wonder, like one round for a highly trained guy seems a bit tired, a bit quick for him to get tired, right? So do you think it could have been like nerves or something that kind of like contributed to it? Because it didn't seem like really natural that he was given a good output, but did he really do enough to really just deplete himself that much? Or you think there was something else at play?
I think nerves definitely would have played a factor, but I also think that Carlos, I think, is one of the sort of guys, especially in kickboxing, that where if he hits people, they normally go down. So he would have thought, all right, this guy's taken 3 or 4 of my biggest shots. Another 1 or 2, if I commit to him hard, will put him down. And I think he just kept committing to the big shots, thinking he would drop. And fair play to Kennedy because he took all of them shots he didn't drop. And he pretty much just Homer Simpsoned it. He pretty much just copped a beat in. Carlos got tired and then he ended up finishing Carlos. I think now Carlos is going to be a bit more strategic with it, though. I think he will sort of adjust for output over the full 15-minute fight if it goes there. Instead of thinking, even though he can, if he hits him, he will put to sleep. I think he will make them adjustments. Like, okay, if I can't get him out in the first, I've still got another 2 rounds behind me where I don't think he should fade again. If he does, then it might actually be more of a gas tank issue and something else they have to sort of try and figure out.
Yeah, man. And he's fighting this Fabio Water Buffalo Cherant. He kind of looks a bit like a water buffalo to me, staunch sort of dude, kind of pretty, I don't know, not an amazing guy to be worried about when you got someone like Carlos with such an extensive like kickboxing background. It seems like he doesn't have as much experience, super heavy on the front leg. Looks like he punches pretty hard, like long sort of straight punches. Not a wrestler from when he's young or anything. So you're looking at it's probably going to be like a stand-up type of fight. And in that case, I would say Carlos with, you know, he's been fighting. There's footage on YouTube. He's been fighting 10 years ago. This guy hasn't even been training that long. So I think it's going to be a skill level step above. Carlos will be a level above him in that. It just depends whether he gets tired and whether he, whether he gets hit hard by this guy, right?
It is worth to note that Fabio does have 5 submission wins on his record. However, they aren't against great competition sort of thing. And again, he does have the 2 KO losses and 1 submission loss. So he's not like they're putting him in against a high level black belt wrestler who's going to make it hard. His game plan might be to try and get it to the ground against Carlos. But as you know, if you've got a good kickboxer like Carlos, who really uses his range well, his front kicks, his low kicks, he works the body, he adds the fakes and the looks and everything like that, it's very hard to initiate in and sort of get into a grappling exchange with that guy, especially if you're not sort of an elite high-level wrestler or you're very comfortable sort of just forcing that game plan where you're just pressuring.
Yeah, man. And I didn't mention Carlos is like 2 times winner of King in the Ring, which is a big show in New Zealand. Anyone that doesn't know, that's a big achievement. And he had a mad fight in the Dana White Contender Series as well. He looked great. I really think that this is his. As long as he can utilize his little bit of extra reach and his skill level, I think he should be able to take it potentially by TKO, man. This is my idea anyway. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I think Carlos might not start a little bit slower, but I think he might be more methodical in this one than he was in his last fight. So I still think he's going to get the finish, but I think it might be more of a sort of second round, third round finish where we see him actually start to figure the guy out, find his shots and sort of line up that real sort of clean strike or initiate with it or get that clean counter and knock him out on the feet. However, if it does hit the ground, I'm still sort of real comfortable with seeing Carlos get back up on the feet. And then if he does sprawl on with a few takedowns like that, I think old mate's gas tank and his like energy level is going to be depleted. I think Carlos is going to get the finish. I'm going second round TKO.
You heard it from the man. Bet the house again.
Bet the house again. There's been a lot of homeless people lately, I think.
Yeah, bro. We've got a kind of up and down record. We get them right sometimes. All right, jumping on to the next one, man. Blood Diamond, also from CKB, fighting Orion Cosce. I don't know how to say the name, but I heard someone say Goss. This is like a classic striker versus wrestler type of fight. You've got Blood Diamond, who's got a massive history of over 100 fights, fighting through the China circuit, fighting in New Zealand, again, King in the Ring champion, versus Orion Cosce, who's got a wrestling background. He's got a brother in the UFC as well, dives for takedowns, basic striking. It's kind of one of those classic fights again, you know?
Yeah, definitely. If anybody hasn't seen any of Blood's sort of footage or anything like that, I highly suggest everybody go and just watch him. Just his style is so unique. Like he's pretty much like one of the big blow up inflatable Gumby things that can punch and kick extremely hard and just from awkward angles. And he just nails people. It's so entertaining. And like you said, it is a striker versus grappler. Like, how do you say his name? Is it Orion?
Yeah, it looks like Orion.
That's like a real American name. He's from Team Alpha Male. And so we obviously know what the game plan is there. He's going to try and use your strikes, basic strike entries to get to a ground and get Blood on the ground. I should say, look for the takedown to get it on the ground and try and secure the finish that way. Blood's going to obviously try and stay on the feet, keep his range and sort of use his awkwardness to his advantage. And I think this is a sort of real, even over a record and experience difference, not the actual kickboxing, but more of MMA experience, there is a bit of a difference. I think the actual stylistic matchup is very good for Mike, purely because a lot of orthodox guys don't know how to deal with the unorthodox opponents. Whereas Mike spars, he would have fought guys like this before, guys who just have big, heavy hands. They just want to throw overhands, hooks, hard low kicks, shooting for takedowns, try and get him down. Whereas someone like Blood, it's so hard to prepare for. Like I've had the privilege of sparring with him before. And the 2 rounds we did, I don't think I'll ever spar anyone ever again like him unless I spar him again. Like the style is so unique. You almost come into a takedown and he throws head kicks from awkward ranges. Like you just can't really prepare for that. And Mike would have seen all the looks that Orion can bring to him. So I think Mike, as long as he keeps it on the feet, keeps his distance and sort of plays the style he wants, I think he should get it done.
It's good to get that first-hand experience, man. Yeah, it's a point I wasn't really thinking about that awkwardness. Yeah, like you can't prepare, right? And he's preparing probably with a lot of guys that are similar to him, because it seems like all the guys that come out of that gym are kind of similar, right? Like pretty basic type of stand-up, and then they dive for the legs. And he looks like a tough guy. Like I think it was his last fight in UFC. He lost, but he was very tough. He copped some big shots and he kept diving for legs, and he didn't look like an easy beat. And I think Blood Diamond, even if he lands a nice shot, it might not put him out. He's going to have to be ready to, contend with these takedown attempts and like keep him at that range. And I think if I can get past that sort of first round where Orion might have a bit of explosiveness for the takedowns, I think Blood Diamond in the later rounds can secure potentially secure a points win or potentially get a KO, depending on if you can get one of these awkward head kicks, like you said, or a knee in as he's trying to dive for the legs. What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like with Team Alpha Male guys, they always sort of have that same strategy and that. I think it's and the big thing with Mike is with someone being so awkward, they don't necessarily have to rely on their wrestling ability as much. They don't really need to have good sprawls and everything like that. Because if you shoot in on him, he's the type of guy who, if you shoot in, he will happily give up his back to initiate a Granby roll, to start a scramble or stuff like that. He's good against the cage and that sort of thing. So I think, like you said, I'm not sure if he can get the finish because Orion is a very tough guy. And I'm sure Mike is going to sort of be a bit more same thing. He's going to take his time in there. He's not going to try and go out there to rush it. UFC debut in front of a big crowd and everything like that. So I think Mike is going to just figure him out. And I think it's probably going to be a very, very entertaining fight. If it goes how I think, it could even be fight of a night with Mike just sort of awkwardly stalling on this guy, and this Orion guy just being too tough for his own good and just sort of sticking in there.
All right, bro. Sounds good. Thanks for your input, and talk again soon.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna answer the phone. What up soon?